Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the December 6th, 2023 regular meeting of the Newtown Township Board of Supervisors. It's the post-Thanksgiving holiday season. There's a lot going on in our lives. I just want to wish everybody happy holidays, and thank you all for coming to see what we do here this evening. As it's customary that we have a moment of silence. Please, we ask that you join the board in observing a moment of silence and prepare for the important business ahead this evening. Thank you. And now please join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Manager, do we have any changes in the agenda?
No changes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, no special actions this evening. I have the next thing on my agenda is the first period of public comment. This is time for you. Yes.
Mr. Chair, is there a reason the monitors aren't on tonight?
Ooh. I don't know. I just noticed. They were on prior. 1 minute. We're getting the signal 1 minute upstairs. We've said the Pledge of Allegiance, we could sing the national anthem.
Or the Eagles
chant. Yeah. I can give the instructions for public comment. I just want to make sure they're being recorded. And we have our recording secretary as well. But okay. First round of public comment, we asked those who have any questions or concerns prior for those things not on the agenda. So if you have anything to comment on that's not on the agenda this evening, now is one of the two chances for public comment. Mr. Charles, hi.
Hi, Charles Foyer, Newtown Walk and Newtown. And you've all seen me come up before with regard to the Newtown Yardley, Tara, and Sycamore Silo projects. But my reason for coming up tonight is not to ask questions, not to inquire as to status and progress, but we've been working on it for a year and a half. It was my choice and my reason to come up tonight, actually, to thank you all for your diligence and vigilance, not only the board, but subcontractors and the police, fire, and rescue for making that mid-block crosswalk as safe as it can be throughout the last year. And all of your efforts to preserve Newtown's unique and historical provenance and to help us to make it a safe and secure for our current residents and future generations. Thanks very much and happy holidays.
Thank you, sir. Okay, any other public comment this evening? All right, we can move right along. Next thing I have is the 2024 budget adoption. We have a resolution that specifies what some of the particulars of the budget are. Mr. Manager, would you like to comment on this resolution?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. The resolution is the resolution that accompanies the budget. It sets certain funds in the budget, most notably the general fund, which is anticipated to have a total revenue of 18 million plus or minus and change, and with the expenses projected to be at 16,600,000, which will provide a year-end fund balance in 2024 of $1,845,232. The resolution also appropriates funds for the other funds within the budget, such as the Highway Aid Fund, American Rescue Fund, Hydrant Fund, along with the TSA, 2 TSA funds, and the Fire Protection Fund. So if the board's of a mind, the appropriate motion would be motion to adopt the budget, allocating certain funds for the year 2024 as outlined in the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second that motion. So we have a motion and a second for the resolution, which adopts the 2024 budget. Is there any discussion from the board? I guess I have one question. This is, I think the last ending fund balance percentage that I saw was 11.
Roughly 11%, correct?
Yeah. I think it was like 11.11, something like that. And we usually try to project for at least 10% of the fund balance going forward. So 11% is better than 10. So any other comment from the board? Any from the public? Seeing, and nothing from the email. Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of adopting the budget, 2024 budget, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion carries 4-1. Thank you, everyone. Moves us on to minor approvals. No minor approvals this evening. Reports of boards, committees, and commissions. We have a planning commission report, but we have our engineer who is present is going to give it.
Yep, so this is the synopsis of the planning commission meeting that was held on December 5th, 2023. There was one zoning hearing board application for Kathleen Donovan at 192 Commonwealth Drive. Ms. Donovan is seeking a variance to permit a home occupation, dog grooming. The applicant indicated that she has a separate room inside of her garage and grooms only small dogs and no more than 4 a day. The commission members discussed the application at length, with some members having concerns about precedents and upholding the current zoning, which should be communicated to the zoning hearing board. Of particular concern was that the business might disturb the neighbors and might also lead to other residents seeking work service businesses from their homes. Only one member favored recommending that the supervisors send a solicitor to oppose the application. There were also 3 PRD variances. The first one was for the Shaws at 34 Alyssa Drive. The applicants wish to enclose a portion of their deck to enlarge their kitchen. The increased impervious surface is 160 square feet. The commission recommended that the board grant the PRD variance subject to the condition that they comply with the Remington and Vernick review letter. The second application was for Ian and Courtney Schmitz at 10 Bedford Lane. The applicants are seeking a PRD variance to increase the impervious surface to install an in-ground swimming pool. The commission recommended that the board grant the variance subject to compliance with the review letter, Remington and Vernick engineers. The adjacent neighbor had sent the planning commission a letter of concern about possible runoff onto their property, and the planning commission also recommended that the applicant provide the engineer's letter to the neighbor to demonstrate that the plans adequately address stormwater concerns. The last PRD variance was for Beverly George Jordan at 3 Warwick Court. The applicant was seeking a PRD variance for the increased impervious surface to install an in-ground swimming pool, and the commission recommended that the board grant the variance subject to compliance with the engineer's review letter.
Thank you. Any questions for our engineer who's standing in for the planning commission? And one or two of those, I think we'll hear again, a little bit more information about this evening, so. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. No other boards or commissions to report this evening. I just, as my chairman's report, I wanted to note that we are accepting letters of interest for our boards and commissions. You can find out which boards have vacancies by going to the website, and it will tell you if there's any vacancies on the committees. You can submit a letter of interest by email. It would be nice to have a short bio, or don't have to have a full-fledged resume, but if you've got one, that's fine too. But a letter, an email of interest saying that you're interested in serving on such and such a committee, and maybe why, and what expertise you might have. Second thing that I wanted to report, I attended the parade, the holiday parade in Newtown on Sunday afternoon, and it was rainy, but I just happened to be riding in a car, so I did not get wet. Sorry for all the others who did. I did attend the Planning Commission last evening, and I attended on Monday morning. I attended the bill signing for a flood mitigation task force. Governor Shapiro was in Yardley, and that's certainly a place that there's a lot of flooding with the Delaware River. But a number of communities are affected by that, Lower Makefield, Upper Makefield, Yardley Borough, and I'm probably forgetting at least one, maybe Mooresville. I attended, and I thought it was appropriate that I do, because when there is flooding, our emergency services and police department and fire department are among the first to respond. So that is my report. Mr. Vice Chair, do you have anything?
Not really. The only thing was I attended taking care of my grandchildren all weekend, so I am the grandfather, and it was an enjoyable 3 days. Thank you.
I know you were looking forward to that. Ms. Secretary Treasurer.
I also attended the Planning Commission meeting last night and the Newtown Fire Association general meeting. That's all I have to report. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Calabro? Mr. Davis?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have the Park and Rec report for December 6th. Pre-registered today for the following upcoming programs: acrylic pouring, tapping into your intuition, the Schools Out art workshops, kids aromatic crafting, and literacy for littles, reading readiness, and reading rock stars. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, some tongue twisters there.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, thank you, Mr. Davis. Let me turn the page. See what's next. I think our PRD hearing is next. But yes. Mr. Schenkman, would you like to turn on your microphone? And
The first public hearing is PRD variance hearing for Schmitz at 10 Bedford Lane. If the applicants will step forward to the microphone, introduce yourselves if you would.
Sure. My name is Rob McCubbin from Anthony Sylvan Pools.
Courtney Schmitz.
And Ian Schmitz.
Good evening, everyone. This is a public hearing to consider the application of Ian and Courtney Schmitz for a PRD variance from the final plan of Durham Lee to allow for the installation of an in-ground swimming pool on their property located at 10 Bedford Lane in Durham Lee. The allowable impervious surface for the property is 25%, and the applicants are requesting a 28.38% impervious surface. The township engineer has reviewed the application in detail and has submitted a review letter of November 22, 2023, and has had subsequent interactions with the applicant and their engineer concerning certain issues that were involved and needed clarification, including some calculation changes. The engineer has expressed her satisfaction. The plan is now in compliance with our ordinances. What was the applicant now would like you to discuss, make a presentation as to what you intend to do.
Sure.
And then, if we could hear from the applicants first, and then from our expert pool installer, that would be appreciated. And if the board has any questions thereafter, and the public after that, we will hear those questions and have to answer them.
Yes, so we're looking to install an in-ground swimming pool in our backyard. So this would include a walkway patio and a deck around the pool as well. So we were asking for approval to be able to move forward with this home improvement project. It's the first project we are going to be performing on the property. So we purchased the home in May, and this is actually our first improvement. I'm sorry? Oh, yes, and we're also doing stormwater management as well to satisfy the town requirements.
Can you tell us something about that management? If you know the details, well, you want to go to your expert.
Yeah, I'll
That's
defer
fine.
to my expert, actually.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, so the, oh, sorry, take that for a second. Obviously, we have the pool project, so we have all of our impervious calculations done on the swimming pool. And our request was for 3.38% over the allowable 25% limit, which boils down to 684 square feet of area to allow for the pool patio, pool coping, and pool equipment pad to be put in. We do have a stormwater management system proposed. We did perform a soils test out there based off the township's requirements. For stormwater infiltration, we were able to achieve infiltration. So we have a in-ground infiltration system built on the south side of the property between the pool and the property line. That system is designed, the infiltration system is a system that is designed to hold 720 cubic feet of water. So it's designed to mitigate all of the impervious surface that is being proposed on the property. And I believe that impervious number, the total number, or the net increase is 1,799 square feet. And that includes the pool, the patio, the coping, and the pool deck. We do have it reviewed. We're down to our last three items on the review letter from the township engineer, which I just dropped off those plans this evening and then emailed them earlier today. So those final changes are done and completed.
And you do understand that all those last submissions have to be approved, and it would before you can get the
Yes.
overall approval of the board.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Now, you were before the planning commission last night, were you guys? I remember
That is
I was
correct.
there too.
Yes.
And we had some issues come up about a neighbor's letter. Do you recall that?
I do.
Do you want to just tell us what that was about a little bit and how it was resolved?
So me and Ian had spoke before about this. So the neighbor actually did receive a copy of this plan on September 21st.
September 21st. We emailed it to her. She asked for a copy of the plan and sent me her email address, and I forwarded her our current plan and stormwater management solution.
Yeah, and then obviously we can share the letter, the final approval letter, once we do receive that.
Yes.
Once those final three items are taken care of.
Yeah. And I believe that letter is in your packets this evening. Do you have any interest?
There should be two of them, one
Yeah.
from October and one from November 11th, maybe, or November 9th, somewhere around there, beginning of November.
I'm going to ask our engineer if she has any comments about this particular part of the application.
No, it was summarized accurately. We reviewed the project for the PRD. We reviewed the stormwater management, and the system that's proposed is in accordance with the township ordinance.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to present before we turn to questions? Yeah, for the board?
No.
Okay. Does the board have any questions?
Go ahead, Snyder.
I see something that I didn't see included before, which is from today. We respectfully request that a ruling on the variance be held and not considered at tonight's meeting so that we are able to prepare and attend in person to discuss our concerns. Was that new from today, Mr. Solicitor?
I saw it for the first time today. It may have come in yesterday, but I saw it today.
Is there any appropriate action we should take about considering this?
It's up to the boards. If the board thinks that there's something that needs to be considered, wishes to hear the neighbor, we can certainly do that. I believe this application has sufficient time to be heard at a later date. It's up to the board whether they think that's significant enough. These neighbors would have to present some kind of engineering evidence to show that there's something that's inappropriate or not accurate about their submissions and our review letters and the responses to those review letters. I'm not sure what they're going to submit, but they have a right to do so.
I'm just finding this letter right now. Had you shared any of the engineering with the neighbor before?
Yes, on September.
Okay, that's what I thought I heard you say, but I wasn't sure.
Plans, yes.
And they were asking for like a third-party engineering, which...
That would be their burden to present.
Yeah. So my supposition was they hadn't gotten the updated engineering, so they still had questions. And given that they were getting, that there was still something new to give to them or to present them with, that we could go ahead and go ahead with this evening. What do other people think?
I make a motion to approve if we're going to that.
Are you making that motion?
I will make a motion unless you
You
need to
make
frame it specifically.
No,
All right, I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to,
I can make it more detailed, but if they
That's what I'm
basically,
getting at,
yeah.
there'll be time for public comment in just a minute.
I was told I could come here to object.
And you can as soon as we get a motion and maybe a motion and a second. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion from the board?
Yeah, I have something to discuss. I just think that if somebody wants to voice an opposition and cannot be here, I think just like as in any, we're not a court of law, but if we are passing judgment regarding that, we should be able to hear these persons' reasons for why they do not want this to be done. Apparently we're not. We're just going to go by and not, I'm not saying that maybe they do not have sufficient reason for this, but we don't know. So we're basically passing judgment without hearing the whole story.
Yeah, and Mr. Calabria, you're accurate. This evening, in this matter, you are acting as a court of law.
Okay.
Because the appeal from this level is to the Court of Common Pleas.
Okay. Well, I mean, if I was before a judge or was going to make my case before a judge and I couldn't make it, I think that I would be slighted. And I think that we're slighting these people for not hearing what their disagreement to this project is. and we're just going to approve something without hearing the opposition's point of view. And I don't find that to be fair. I mean, that's just my opinion. But if that's the case, I mean, I do want these people to have their pool, but I would have to vote against it just based on that we're not giving this person, these two people, a chance to come up here and voice their opinion.
Well, usually in a case, a court hearing, or whatever, you have, what do you call it, members or somebody who's involved with the case. What do you call them?
You have either attorneys or witnesses, yeah, sure.
Are there anybody in the audience, party to the case?
What parties
So that gentleman right there is a party to the case. He can declare himself a party to the case?
Well, this is not at that level. We have to be declared a party. If any public member has something that is relevant to this matter, they're free to stand up at the conclusion of this, of their piece, to make their statement as public comment. That's, we can certainly hear that. We should hear that before we actually
Before we
rule on the
vote, we
motion.
should hear that,
Yeah,
yes.
you can make the motion, second the motion, but then you have to complete all the due
Right.
process parts of it.
So there
listen to all
may
the
be
evidence.
somebody here, I don't know.
But it's not these two particular people that have voiced their opinion. They took the time to send us an email saying that they couldn't make it here
2
tonight.
emails.
Yeah, but was that today? I mean, this meeting's
If
been
today
scheduled.
is December 6th, yeah, it's today.
I mean, this meeting's been scheduled for quite some time, though, right?
They still have a right to be heard. Well, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
The board may think that people just don't have a right to be heard, but I think that they do.
Well, isn't there, after this meeting, would there still be like a zoning hearing board? Wouldn't there still be a 30-day appeal period or no?
No, certainly there's an appeal period, yeah. But once it gets there, it's out of our hands and it goes to the courts. I'm not sure
Right.
you want to get there that quickly.
Right.
And also, it's expensive, yet there are fees associated with filing appeals in courts, and it also would take longer than 30 days. Once you file appeal, it takes months and months before you get in front of a judge. So I think the point that Mr. Calabro is making is that because we're acting as a court, but we're not actually a court, we don't have procedural rules in this situation. And yes, normally a court would say you have to submit all your evidence a certain time in advance of a hearing, and everybody's right to depose those witnesses and ask, and send interrogatories to ask questions for more details about that. We don't have all those conveniences.
Right.
But I think the reality is that we don't really know what these neighbors have to say. We've seen some emails that they express concerns. They don't make arguments. They just express concerns that something may not be quite known to us. There may have been some history to this property and to the water there before the Schmitzes moved in several months ago. So, and none of us are familiar with what that might be, although our engineer has had some history based on what's been filed here before by the previous owners. So,
And I'm assuming this isn't a project that has to be done next month, correct?
we have some time, I think.
So you have time for these
Yeah, we can
to
put it off
schedule
till
these
next.
people to be on the next meeting.
Yeah,
As long as, if they're aware and then they don't show up, then I'd have to say then they're abusing the system. I'm gonna make a motion to table this until a future meeting.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay,
And the
so-
reason I second it is because of our own code enforcement officer asking us for, in today's letter, to wait for some further information. So again, this was just put in the packet. I didn't see it before, but,
would you mind reading that email that you got today from the code enforcement office?
we respectfully request that a ruling on the variance be held and not considered at tonight's supervisors meeting so that we are able to further prepare and attend in person.
No,
to
that's from
Oh.
the
The letter
neighbors.
from the neighbors.
Oh, I'm sorry. Apologize.
Oh, so you were referring to that, not to the code enforcement?
Yes.
Okay,
'cause
all right.
That's what it says under it, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm confused, sorry.
So procedurally, we have a motion on the floor that there's a motion to table that takes precedent.
Correct.
So
So if it's
want
made
to-
and seconded, you have to call the vote on the cabling, and if that
Yeah.
passes, then this matter will be adjourned until another date. But as long as there are witnesses here, we should let them speak about it, so we know what's going on. They don't make another.
Before we vote on the tabling. Okay.
No, we can, either way. We can vote on the table and still let them,
Yes, I would still.
let them complete their presentation.
I just have one more thing. I withdraw my motion to table since I incorrectly read
Oh, okay,
this
okay.
email.
So because of this email, these people have no right to be at the meeting, is that what you're saying?
Was this heard in the public at the zone, the planning commission?
Yes.
Didn't we set a report on it?
Were
Yeah.
they there? Were these people
I
there?
don't know, this isn't the first time it's popped on the
Well,
charts, that's what I'm saying.
Mr.
No,
Schenkman,
yes, it came up yesterday. Of course, the second email that arrived today, we didn't have to discuss last night.
What I meant, this isn't the first time this is on our schedules.
No.
And this has been in the
It was-
pipeline for a while.
It was
That's my
before
point.
us last night.
Yeah.
well, again, it's the construction of a pool. It's not gonna be done for a while. Why aren't we giving these people the chance to come before us and state their case? Like I said, this may be approved anyway, but at least we should give these people their say. We're not giving you, are you Mr. Hollowell?
No.
Okay, no. What, you could come up, but what I'm saying is, we're not even giving these people who are neighbors within this development a say in this matter. Right, wrong, or indifferent, we're excluding them from the whole procedure. And I don't know if any one of us would want that done to us if we were them. But apparently, we're overruling these people coming in and stating their case. And I just think that's wrong. I just think that we're being abusive to this situation, but it only takes three.
Well,
I mean,
okay,
just so everyone knows too, the neighbors did not express any concern here. They
We
said,
have one
understood. but
one
they
couple
didn't.
that is expressing this, and that's
Right.
enough.
But they sent an email
Would
that
you
we just
want
found
this
out
help,
about.
would you want this to happen to you?
No.
If you were in the reverse?
I understand.
I understand your case. You don't have to
No,
plead it.
no.
So what I'm saying is, I think these people should have their say.
Okay, agreed. with
That's
that.
all. That's all. I don't want to discuss putting them in the pool or anything like that.
I'm not discussing the pool.
So that's what I have. That's my situation. My fellow members don't think that these people deserve a right to come before us. So there is.
Why are you
there is a
speaking for me,
motion.
Okay.
Phil? Please
Hey,
don't speak for
okay,
me.
hang on.
I didn't say anything.
Can we have some order, please?
Did I say your name?
Can we have some
particularly,
more?
You said
Mr.
your
Lane?
fellow,
Do you
your
have a
fellow.
Gentlemen.
Do you have a guilty conscience? I
Gentlemen.
didn't say your name.
Gentlemen, let's.
You said my fellow supervisors.
Let's
not
come
my
back-
fellow
let's-
There's four
supervisors.
people here.
That's
I'd
not
like to come back to
scandalous.
order. We have a motion and a second on the floor. I'd like to hear a public comment from the gentleman here.
My name's Joseph Madden. I live in Tyler Walk with Kyle Davis and other neighbors there. This project is going to possibly, I've spoken with two people, Ann Ginhard and I forget who the other one was. I don't know if it's, you know, two officials or contractors for the township. Anyway, I oppose the variance. I moved here in 1980. There were water problems from the very beginning because, believe it or not, where I live, 447 Parkview Way, it's a very easy walk to 10 Bedlam Place. You know, you just walk out my front door, turn right, I think Kyle knows the territory, and pass a copse of trees. Before you even get to my next door neighbor, you turn right, and you're walking up on the edge of Randall Park. And if you walk far enough, you'll come to a wide opening, which has a bit of an erosion ditch down it, and there's a pathway across it. People put slate or something. I walked in, and I was able to view the property, and it's situated sharply uphill from my property, and at least one of my two next-door neighbors, I think the woman on the woman at, she probably doesn't even know it, the woman at 459, I'm at 447. And what we've had there over the years is terrific water problems. And even now, today, I took a picture of my next-door neighbor who installed, I don't know what you call it, but it's, I'm not very good with computers. I live alone, and my wife's in a nursing home, and I've got my hands full with a lot of stuff. I don't even have an email anymore. My computer's down. But I have a picture in here somewhere. Let me see. Oh, yeah, here we go. This is what my next-door neighbor put in. It's some sort of a pipe to draw water away from her home. Now, this is right at the border of her property and my property. So she has an ongoing problem, and that has created a bit of a messy situation. I haven't even complained about that to her.
Okay.
But anyway, the point is that the amount of water that has come down over the years, like when Durham Lee was begun, the project, perhaps even before that, in other words, while the house was being built, my cellar was under 6 or 8 feet of water. And the builder corrected that. Then later I discovered, after making settlement and everything, there was a drain hole just behind my property. Either, I don't know the guy who lives right in back of me, there's a lot of woods and stuff, not woods, but trees. He may not even know the drain hole is there. But what happened was the developer of Durham Lee regraded all of the known area, from my perspective, of Durham Lee to come down into this little drain hole, which is either on my property or just behind it. And it was a very, very serious problem. And it still goes on. I mean, there's leakage, as I showed with the neighbor next door. I've had basement leakage myself. And there's also the type of drain that I just showed you for the neighbor next door was put in from my property to the common area by the builder. And she, of course, just put it from her property to a swale on her property, which is what the builder put in to take water down to the drain in the street. I have seen that drain spout like Old Faithful, okay? It's like there's a serious water problem emanating from the top of this terraced. In part, it's terraced, mostly at 433. My property is somewhat terraced, too. I think all 3 properties could be called as terraced. But there's water coming down, and let me see if I can pick up. And the township engineer warned me. The township engineer at the time said to me, after the builder had corrected everything, and I guess I forget whether it was just rumors of Durham Lee getting started, but he said, if something happens, if a builder, he suspected what would happen. He said that somebody's going to try to regrade that whole known area that we could see of Durham Lee. He was going to drain it into this drain hole just behind my property, a small drain hole. He said, and my wife noticed it one day while I was at work and called me. I came home, called the engineer, called everybody, but the whole job was done with bulldozers and everything. The builder regraded an enormous amount of area. Everything flowed into that one little drain hole. Anybody can come and see it. It's very hard to see now. I couldn't even see it yesterday. I mean, it's surrounded, it's expanded in size. It's a real, and I'm not sure what else was done. I mean, I spoke to Ginhart. She said, bring it up here. And they, they can investigate and see if there was any other drainage. But there's an awful lot of drainage goes into that drain hole. And and then the builder supposedly built a swale, on the neighbor's property where I showed you the damage was, or where that device was, whatever they call it, that pipe. That's a little bit unsightly for me, but, I know what she's gone through. And
Can I just ask you, sir, does this directly impact your property, this this project?
Yes. Yes, because water goes from my property, it's taken off into the, it's either my property or the common area, at the pavement level. It leaks out onto the pavement and freezes. But what I'm afraid of is that this, unless I missed something that was just said. I only spoke to Ginhart, and I wasn't quite following everything here. But, I'm just afraid of any variance to what already exists there, because it's almost like a time bomb. There's been an awful lot of water problems over the years. I just showed you my next door neighbor.
That we can figure out.
Yeah.
That there's been water problems. Do we know of a Mr. or Mrs. Ginhart?
Amy Gin.
Okay,
It's a zoning officer.
zoning officer, yes. Now that I say it, it came, and when you said her first name. Okay. So someone has been out to look at that drain hole situation.
Somebody has?
I don't know.
No, they haven't. I couldn't even find it, and I live there.
Okay.
But unless they came and didn't tell me, and I'm not even positive it's on my property. I suspect the builder put it on, at the time it was state-owned property, I think.
Right.
And later became Durham D. Lee's, and next door to it became Randall Park.
Right.
But
And there is some adjacency, as I recall, because I've walked that path around Helen Randall Park and into Durham Lee. So I do believe there is some.
There's a big open one, much
Some
further up.
adjacency between Tyler Walk lot and Durham Lee lot. There's probably some open space in between.
What was the first one? I was able to find an opening for the first time.
Yeah.
It was further
There is
up
one.
than the old one used to be, and it's bigger. And there were these, like almost a makeshift bridge across a little erosion ditch. So you could walk across what looked like open space. I think I came to number 13, and I looked in from there. I looked across, I could see number 10. And it's like, you're looking up at a plateau from where we are. This is a steep, if you look at any one of these addresses, 433, you'll see that it's a steep decline to where we live, okay?
I think
and the water comes downhill.
I think we've gotten what you had to say.
Okay.
So is there any other points that you need to make?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Can I ask you,
Thank you.
what's your best estimate of how far away is your nearest point of your property to 10 Bedford Lane?
Well, the engineers told me that everybody that was within, I think she said possibly 300 yards, but I'm not sure. All I know is I'm within that, but it was an easy walk, but it was like uphill.
No, I just want to have a sense of what the relativity is.
I drove looking for it the first time I found out about this, which wasn't too long ago.
Okay.
I drove to look for it, and, I drove in First Street. I couldn't get anywhere. In the Second Street, it was another developer called something or other. And then when I saw the Durham Lee sign, I went in and looked around for it, and I found it there. And then just about the day before yesterday, I took a walk around Randall Park and found a much bigger entranceway into Durham Lee.
Okay.
And then from where you come out at there, like 13, I think it was, you could look down and see number 10, which I had already seen after taking my car earlier.
So is it fair to summarize what you're testifying to or opining on as public comment, that you're concerned about the general situation with stormwater in your particular home and in your neighborhood? That's your concern is, not particularly this property, but the stormwater issues?
Yeah, I have no objection. I feel, I apologize for causing these folks an inconvenience. I only just discovered how Durham Lee was laid out. I never knew, I only knew like this one long block that's right behind my property. It might be 3 or 4 houses and all the half acre or something each of them has.
No, I understand that. I'm just trying to make sure we understand what the reference point is for you.
Yeah.
And it's stormwater in that area in general, not
Yes.
just to 10
Right,
Bedford
right, and
Lane,
that-
and not just your property.
It's not
but
just my property, it's
okay.
the woman next door.
I understand.
Okay, got it.
Is there anything else
Thank
that you want to say, or, okay.
I don't think so.
Thank you for
Thank
your,
you.
for your comment.
Thank you for
Okay.
your comment.
Where do we stand here with this tabling?
Yes, well, I'm going to get to that.
Yeah, I was going to come back to that, too.
Yeah.
I think we have a withdrawal from the seconding.
Yeah, the second has been withdrawn, so is there, will there be another second for the motion to
I'll
table?
make a second to the tabling, okay?
Okay.
If that's the
I
case-
see a letter, you know, this is the first time I'm seeing this letter from Don and Karen Holloway. That's who you're talking about, Phil?
Yes.
And they're making an objection to the variance, and they're the people who cannot make it here.
Correct.
Now, usually, I guess in a court, there's a date, and if you can't make it, that's just too bad. But this is a community, it's not, you know, criminals and so on that we're dealing with. So I kind of agree with Phil, if these people can make at another meeting, and if there's real no contingency to get this project finished in the next week or so.
I believe that there is time for this to be revisited at the next regular scheduled meeting of the Board of Supervisors. I'm thinking, if there is one scheduled, and that I don't know.
This will be on January 10th.
Could I make one comment? So we've been in constant communication with the neighbor that had the objection. We've been very forthcoming, provided all the information to her, and essentially all summer long. And it wasn't until last night that we got the official notice from her that she's objecting.
From you guys,
from
not
you-
from
yeah.
her.
So she had her telephone numbers. We've been in constant text with her. And she has never, she actually texted us and said, "You'll hear from us." So she knew full well that this was coming up. And I agree that everybody needs to be heard, but when you're given ample notice and provided all the information up front, is it unfair to us to say, we've given you enough notice that you haven't provided any objection to us or any concerns to us about that until the 11th hour when this is going to get approved?
I understand what you're saying, but not to stress a court of law, but what you're telling me is hearsay until I hear it from them.
Actually, I have the text,
Okay.
if you want to see the text from her.
You can't cross-examine the text. We don't know what
Yeah,
else they
we-
would say in response to their questions. I'm
And
sorry.
your delay would only be for a couple weeks. I'm not saying you're going to not be able to build this. I'm just saying that I believe that these people should have a say in this matter. And if we schedule it, they're notified, they don't make the next meeting, then that's on them.
We've also
But they didn't make this meeting, and they told us they couldn't make this meeting, and that if we could, since we're the body deciding this, could hold off, that's what they're asking.
We've also been asked to move our meeting to this meeting. So we are actually asked by the board to push the meeting back. So we've already essentially agreed to push it back.
So you think that these people don't have a right to come before us and have a say?
Okay.
No, there are equities on both sides here, but the bottom line seems to be that there is some concern on the board, and I'm not, because we haven't been a vote, I don't know what the concern level is, that to be absolutely fair, and we're all neighbors, we all have to live with each other, so to shut them out if they have a legitimate concern, I'm not even going to say it's a complaint, but it's a concern, whatever that might be, if there's an interest as a public body to hear from them directly so we can ask them questions, and they have an opportunity to present evidence of some sort that would justify whatever their concerns are. There's some interest in hearing what that might be, and we certainly realize it's inconvenient for you, and I'm sure we would all apologize for that. But where's the greater good here? And that probably is that they're all neighbors, we have some peace among our neighbors and things, we work these things out amicably if at all possible. Even though this is a public hearing, that would seem to be the appropriate response. Just let's see what they have to say. Quite frankly, if this was a deadline and we couldn't extend it, then we might reach a different conclusion. We might not be able to wait for them. But the situation is we can wait until January 10th if we have to. So,
Given that, unless there's other board comment, other public comment, I'd like to call a question on the motion to table. All those in favor of the motion to table, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion is tabled until the next meeting.
so you will get notice as to, it's going to be the 10th, but you'll get notice from us about that.
I think you should also tell the Halloways,
Oh, yes,
somebody, that if they don't show up at the 10th, that's it for them.
I'm sure that administration can handle that.
yes. Thank you, Mr. Mack, that's good.
Okay.
Good suggestion.
So that being the
Thank you.
case, the public hearing for the PRD for the Schmitz 10 Bedford Lane pool installation is tabled for another date.
Our next available date.
Next available date, which is January 10th, 2024. Okay.
Okay.
Next is the consideration of the reenactment of the Riding Academy ordinance for the JMZO.
Yes. We have let me see if I got the right. Yes. It's an ordinance for the municipalities of the jointure to revise regulations for an A4 riding academy use, requiring increased minimum lot size, additional parking spaces, presence of the owner and full-time employee on the penalty, setbacks for manure storage, remediation of insects, and vector infestation. So I believe we voted on this previously.
We have, and I will basically frame it, the question for today is that, again, this is a public hearing, it's advertised public hearing for the board to reconsider an ordinance that was previously enacted on August 9, 2023. The ordinance amends the joint municipal zoning ordinance to revise provisions governing riding academies, a use that is actually not permitted in Newtown Township, but does exist in Upper Makefield Township and Wrightstown Township. The reason that the ordinance must be reconsidered is that it was discovered after the past enactment that it was not formally sent to the Bucks County Planning Commission for a required 30-day review prior to being enacted. Therefore, this technicality has to be corrected by reconsidering this ordinance in the three jointures. As a matter of fact, Wrightstown approved this on Monday, December 4th. Upper Makefield Township approved it at their meeting on Tuesday, December 5th, 2023. So if the board is of a mind, it would be a motion to enact the Riding Academy GMZO Amendment Ordinance.
Do we have a motion to that effect? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion from the board? It's nice to go 4, 5, 6 on the
Yeah, it worked out
reenactment.
very sequentially.
And the jointure meets tomorrow night, which is the 7th.
Correct.
So, any public comment? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of reenacting the Riding Academy JMZO amendment, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Yep. I think that brings us to our,
That's all the public hearings we have this evening.
yep. No land development. We have our engineer's report.
Yep, so the item on the agenda tonight is the 2023 Liquid Fuels Road Program. We have payment certificate number 3. This is the final payment for this project. Based on the work complete and the information provided by the contractor, we recommend payment to the contractor in the amount of $17,883.58. This is the final payment for this project.
Okay, we got a motion. Didn't even have to ask for it. And we have a second on this.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion from the board? It is the final payment. Any from the public? Seeing no other comments, I'll call the question. Those in favor of approving the Liquid Fuels Program Payment Certificate number 3 final, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Engineer. Does anyone have any questions for the engineer? Other questions?
I always have questions, but I'm going to let it go for 2 minutes.
Okay. Very good.
Okay.
Solicitor's report. We're back to Mr. Schenk.
That was quick. Yeah. I'm back on the record. Okay. There's one matter in our solicitor's report for this evening, and I think 2 matters. The first one is the consideration for enactment of the Newtown Township Single-Use Plastics Ordinance.
All right. We all had the ordinance in our packet. Do we have any questions from the board on this? Comments or questions? Yeah,
If I frame the motion would be framed as a motion to enact the Newtown Township Single-Use Plastic Ordinance.
do we have such a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Now, we can better have comment on it from the board.
I just wanted to clarify what I've learned from Mr. Sander about the enactment and the dates and all that. He said the effective date, the effective date as defined in the ordinance means the effective date of the ordinance that added this part 7 to chapter 10 of the ordinance of Newtown Township. So that's when it really becomes effective, when it's officially added to that document.
Correct.
It's a database.
It'll be effective 5 days from today.
And how did you determine it was 5 days? It was
Well, in the ordinance, it says 120 days it'll be effective, but the ordinance itself will be active 5 days from now.
but that's, Mr. Sanders said, the 120 days starts counting when it's in the ordinance,
Right.
the 5 days from now. So you got, be 125 days from now,
Yes.
basically.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
This is a recording process.
Yep.
Any other? Any comment from the public? Good evening, please state your name.
Bradley Cooper, a Newtown Grant resident since 1999 in the township. I would just like to speak on this ordinance. I do not agree with it because I don't think it's right that politicians should be telling businesses what to do. First thing is one of the more common used bags besides the plastic bags is cotton tote bags. Cotton tote bags, to make them, you need, of course, cotton. Cotton is a product that requires a lot of water, a lot of pesticides, a lot of chemicals, because of animals that want to eat the cotton or that rustle through the fields. They have to use them to make sure that the cotton doesn't get contaminated. So they have to use a lot of pesticides, which can get into the waterways. To use a cotton reusable bag would have to be used 7,100 times approximately, according to a 2018 Danish Environmental Protection Agency study, to be environmentally effective compared to using a plastic bag used, once, as some people would call them. Regardless if they use them for picking up dog waste or use them for trash can linings. There has been other studies that have shown in areas that have banned plastic bags or put a fee on them, 5 cents, 10 cents, whatever it may be, that the sale of bags for your trash cans have risen more because people are finding alternatives to those bags that you have to put in your trash cans because they can't use these bags that they would get for free from, let's say, a grocery store, which is the most common place to get these bags. Anywhere between 55 to 101% in areas that ban plastic bags, and it varies depending upon the size of your trash can. So they have seen an uptick in those sales of trash bags. I just don't think it's right that we're telling businesses what they can and can't do and how to run their business. Understand that we're concerned about the environment, and the environment is important to us because it's our livelihood, that we don't want gasoline just spewed everywhere that could catch on fire and burn our house. Understand that we don't want, stuff that's going to hurt animals and plants that are going to hurt our possible lives where we could get sick and die for many different reasons. But I don't like that we're telling businesses what we can and can't do, and then by telling businesses what they can and can't do, we now as citizens have to deal with the decisions that 5 or 6 or 10 people decided. And I know it's been said that potentially these businesses are on board with this, but when you're going to tell them, I'm going to charge you, $100 or $200 because you're in violation of doing this or doing that, they're going to comply because they don't have $100 every week or 2 weeks or a month or whatever the charge or fee would be to pay for that. They don't want to go and have to pay taxes or fees above the normal, whatever they have to pay, because it's going to cost the business money. So that's why, even if they don't say that they're on board on this, they're going to say they're on board on this because they don't want to get fees or taxed or whatever. I live in a homeowners association. If I don't comply with what they say, they give me $25 or $30 or $100 fine until I comply. I don't want to spend $100 just because I'm out of compliance of what their ordinance or what their regulations are that they tell us. So that's why we go along with it. And that's why I feel some of these businesses go along with it, because they have no other choice of either I go along with it or I'm going to get charged $150, $200. And also, I work in retail, not in the grocery store retail, but I work in retail and automotive field. And buying plastic bags is very expensive. So if they don't have to do it, some businesses are like, cool, it saves me $100 or $200 every couple of weeks. But everything should be taken into consideration, and not just, because of the environment or because of this, because there's studies and there's data that shows that there's more harm in doing other things than just banning one thing. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. Please, turn on your mic.
John DeApril, Newtown Grant, biggest and the best. I agree with Bradley on a lot of things, some of the points I was going to make. You heard and poo-pooed them until, kind of like shut the people down when they brought up about dog poop and trash and all that stuff. And you used the term single-use bags all the time. Well, in my house, they're double use because they get used for trash and they get used for dog poop and stuff like that. And, it's an inflationary measure, definitely inflationary measure. Like Brad said, they're going to go out and buy trash bags. They're going to go out and buy bags to do the things they're doing with the bags you get for free now. They're going to have to buy them. I don't know what's the thing with the Democrats. They like going after all the cities and stuff that already have these bans on it. It seems like everything that Ellen, you bring up is from these cities and everything. I moved away from the city to get away from that CRAP. I don't want that stuff. I don't want that stuff here. Largest investment I ever made, buy my house. You just don't want all this stuff. We're only a small township. We're 21,000 people maybe. To have this stuff here, it's not even going to make a dent. Not even make a dent on plastics. You agree that a lot of the plastic goes in the trash. It doesn't go get recycled. You blame China. Well, that was over a year ago. You think they would have came out with a solution now? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the United States of America. And if we want to stop something, if we want to prevent something, they will get to it. Biden gives away millions of dollars, foreign countries, residents, whatever. Let him put some money into this. Get rid of the plastics. Make a use for the plastics. One of the uses not used that much. The fill they had when the truck driver crashed 95, and they put that fill in. That was made with plastic recycled. There's ways to do this stuff. The business should get involved. The state should get involved. The federal government definitely should get involved instead of giving all this money away to other people. Like I said, Democrat inflationary thing. Why? Why do we have to pay for paper bags when we get them for free now? Who's going to enforce that? I joked around with the chief. I said, hey, Chief, here's your chance to get 5 new police officers. Plastic bag enforcement. Come on. Think about that. What are you doing? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeAprile. Any other public comment?
Hi, I'm Elaine McCarron, co-chair of the EAC, and I have a preparation from Farron Savitz from Penn Environment with the exact response to our first speaker, okay? According to a CNN study, a cotton bag must be used, this was the question, okay, posed, 7,100 times to be better for the environment than a conventional plastic bag. His response from Penn Environment: this is just false. An overall point on these studies, it's incredibly difficult to do a life cycle analysis on different types of bags since waste management practices differ everywhere, and they all take into account different assumptions. The CNN report refers to a Danish study, which assumes every plastic bag is reused and then properly disposed of. It doesn't take into effect the environmental impacts of litter or dumping. It doesn't factor in the environmental cost of fracking to extract the natural gas to create the plastic. It doesn't factor into the impact of now microplastics on our health and our wildlife. And we all know that all 100 waterways in Pennsylvania now have microplastics. Those waterways, example, Neshaminy Creek, which was just tested, again, has a severe case of microplastics. From an environmental and public health standpoint, among plastic bags, reusable bags, and paper bags, plastic bags are still the worst option. A UN study, the article mentions, which is an analysis of several life cycles, says a cotton reusable bag only has to be used 50 times. It actually says 50 to 100 times, but he says he can cherry pick numbers like everybody else. 50 reuses to be the best option in using the reusable bag once a week for a year. Considering Americans and in Newtown, 1 plastic bag every day, that's an incredible achievable number, and the cotton bag should easily hit and surpass the benchmark of being environmentally purposeful. Abington, he said it only happens in Philadelphia. No, this actually came up in Abington. ENC recently had a resident raise a similar question, and I'm including my response to one specific question that is basically the same as what he just brought up. But they cited a study by the Canadian plastics industry, which, if you actually look at their findings, much shows that the reusable bag is the best option. So there, that answered that question. And he has an answer to every one of these studies that actually does the analysis to these questions. So if you look at in Newtown with our residency, 365 bags, it comes out to 7.2 million bags that we are saving. That's only our tiny township, okay? Then take this 24 additional, and there's so many. Tonight's the Plastic Coalition. There's many, many townships right behind us who are about to pass their plastic. And as far as Pennsylvania, we are following the same routine as we start on a grassroots level, and it gets into a state level. So, and if you look at every other state surrounding us, that's exactly what has happened. So, thank you.
And that's Farron, and he's from Penn Environment.
This is from Farron Savitz is Penn Environment. Farron Savitz is from Penn Environment. He's the one who did our presentation.
Yes.
He's the one nonprofit. They are doing the analysis of all the waterways of the microplastics right now.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Redirect.
John DeApril.
Yep.
Thanks for letting me speak again, because, heard hours on this plastic bag thing in the different meetings. I heard hours of it. You hear another 5 minutes of me, I think it'd be okay. She brought up a lot of statistics. Everyone knows statistics could be changed. Statistics could be tampered with, all that stuff. You bring up stuff. She's even bringing up foreign countries. She's bringing up Canada. The environmental thing, yeah, okay, it is a problem. But like I said, let someone higher than small Newtown Township take care of this. You said that in the past that the businesses were involved. When you get somebody trying to sell you something, somebody trying to get their point across, and sometimes it reminds me of you go over someone's house and they got a little dog. And when you get up to leave, the little dog starts biting at your leg. And you do anything to get away from that little dog, because you don't want to kick it at your friends or somebody you know. Dog, you don't want to, and it's brutality anyway. But, they'll say, yeah to these people. Yeah, we'll go along with it. They wouldn't like to change what they're doing now. They have a profitable business. They're using their plastic bags. They have to change up what they're doing. They're going to have to tell their people, even if it's like a 2-minute thing, they're still going to take 2 minutes out of their time to tell the people to change stuff. For what? 75 million bags or whatever number she used? Come on. Little Newtown Township, I know we have a lot of retail here and stuff like that. I mean, plastic bags you use it for, in the summertime when you get these storms sometimes, I even use the plastic bag for my head because, you get a sudden storm and all that stuff, you want to run to the car and all that stuff. It's kind of ridiculous to be doing this in a little town. A large city, okay, and like I said, if you look at who's doing it, just the Democratic cities, it's just the Democrats. Stop that stuff. Stop pushing that agenda on Little Newtown. Thank you.
Thank you. Again. Any other comments before we call the question?
I'd like to say this is not a Democratic thing. This is a bipartisan thing. I'm sorry. I think you're wrong. And if you go to each and every business in Newtown, which we have, whether they be, no matter what affiliation they have, they are for, helping the environment. We did talk to over 115 businesses and created a business email list, which is constantly updated, where we can send out notices to the businesses in Newtown Township who, as I said, I'm going to throw out a number, 95% of our businesses have done this already, and the others are very willing to comply, even big chain stores, which are already compliant in other states or townships where this has been passed. As far as you say that there's, nothing but big cities, or that's not true. So Easttown, Lancaster, Montgomery, Salisbury, Springfield, Tredyffrin, Upper Merion, West Goshen, White Marsh, they have all passed this. So this is by no means just Little Newtown doing this. This is a grassroots effort that's by and large successful. We're working that way so that eventually it gets up to the State House and the government, and they take action on it in that way. But we're going to do the work to make sure that our governor and our representatives know how serious that we are about this. We have done education with the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, at our high schools with the science teachers, and just every little thing. We went to the NBA and tried to speak in front of them, and they couldn't accommodate us for a breakfast meeting until 2024. We have talked to everybody there is to talk to as far as the township is concerned, and we have overwhelming support. That's all I can tell you. We've worked very hard on this for 4 years. I'm very proud of the people that have done it, and I think it's a real feather in our cap. Thank you.
Any other comments from the board? From the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of, which one is this? Let me get back. Enacting the plastic ordinance, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion carries 4-1. All right. Moving right along.
There's one matter going to the zoning hearing board on January 4, 2024, matter of Kathleen Donovan at 192 Commonwealth Drive, which is lot 46 in Newtown Crossing, seeking a variance to allow for the operation of a dog grooming business in her townhouse unit where such use is not permitted. The property is zoned R1 Medium Density Residential District. This matter was before the Planning Commission last night, and you heard in the synopsis the recommendation of the Planning Commission. The motion, if there is, basically, the question is, do you want to take a position before the zoning hearing board? And the choice is yes, no, or let them decide on their own.
I myself think it's better that the zoning hearing board decide on its own. Take it seriously, though, because it was really a split decision at the Planning Commission.
Yeah, there's a lot of empathy for the situation also,
Yes.
but it's an unusual request.
I don't want to oppose it, but I want them to take a hard look at it.
Okay. That being the case, we're not taking a position. That's all we have for you tonight on as a solicitor's matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Solicitor. Thank you for standing in.
Happy to do it.
Or sitting in, as the case may be. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General fund balance this evening is $5,605,457. Plan expirations before the board with no action required. We have Chief Hearn to give his monthly chief's report. Even Chief.
Welcome, Chief.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, board members. December police report, 1,939 calls for service for the month of November. Live just under 22,000 patrol miles on our fleet. We had 7 arrests, including 3 outstanding warrants, narcotics violation, 1 for fleeing and eluding police, and 2 for DUIs. There were 12 cases referred to detectives for investigations and 8 crime scenes processed, some of which included a residential burglary during the day, a simple assault, 5 death investigations, 1 fraud, 1 extortion, and 2 thefts. 78 traffic crashes were reported for the month, 9 reportable, 27 non-reportable. Significant were 35 deer collisions. There were 100 traffic citations issued and 207 warnings issued. We had 3 truck enforcement details involving 44 truck inspections, issuing 7 citations, 31 warnings, and 6 vehicles were placed out of service. Notable jobs, 2 of the deaths on 11/12 and 11/22, both involving a 76-year-old and a 62-year-old, respectively. Life-saving measures were initiated by the police, but were unsuccessful. Significant events, as I mentioned last meeting, on November 5th, Northampton Police Department did have the police-involved shooting of a male armed with a knife. Our units responded. The male was pronounced at the scene at St. Mary's Hospital, and the DA's office has cleared the officers in any wrongdoing. Public service announcements. We're still seeking part-time employment opportunity for the school crossing guard. Submit your letter of interest and application to the police department. There was 35 deer crashes that I mentioned. Please watch your driving. And since we're in the holiday season, watch the porch fires. Get your packages delivered to another residence, somebody that's home, have your neighbor pick it up, ship them to your work, because they are following FedEx and UPS drivers around the neighborhoods, taking the packages after they leave them on your front steps. There's also been an increase in commercial burglaries overnight, fortunately not in Newtown at this time. So make sure you report any suspicious activity if you're out in overnight hours. Thank you. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the chief?
Yes, can you just remind us when the stop signs on Lower Darlington Road became fully functional?
It was approximately about a week and a half ago. Prior to the implementation of the stop signs, we've placed out signboards advising the public of the upcoming traffic changing patterns. Once the stop signs were uncovered, we sent a couple decoy cars out there to remind the public, and thus far we have been enforcing with educational-based car stops at this point. But there's going to come a time where when you blow that stop sign, you're going to get a citation.
What's an educational stop? I'm sorry.
These are neighborhood residents that drive that street every day of the week. They've been doing it for 20 years, 30 years. My job function isn't to cause them to pay that financial money or get points on their driver's licenses. My purpose is to educate them to make sure they pay attention to the signage that is placed around.
So basically, it's a warning, like...
That's correct, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We want to make sure Mr. Mack is not educated, or is educated, as the case may be.
I don't drive it that way, so I'm okay.
Any other questions for the chief?
I just have a brief comment. Chief, I'd like to thank the police department for putting these stop signs.
Oh.
But I think on roadways like North and South Drive, I'll say Fountain Farm Lane and also Mill Pond, the long stretches of these roads, maybe we should enforce 25 means 25, because I know it's like a 2-mile stretch on North and South Drive, and boy, it's like the Indianapolis 500 sometimes on there. And I'm sure the same things may happen Mill Pond and Fountain Farm. It's like 25 doesn't, I guess there is no 25 on people's speedometers when they go through these neighborhoods. But I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I don't know if we have enough signs to to let these people know it's 25 miles.
Well, if we start overwhelming people with signs, they won't pay attention to none of them. So we have to be cautious about what we're doing. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I had a resident of Colonial Drive also be very appreciative of those signs.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, we have 2 other items for the board's consideration this evening. Both have to do with the recently adopted 2024 budget. First of which is the resolution establishing the tax rate for 2024 at 13.115 mils. Appropriate motion to approve the resolution establishing the tax rate.
Do we have such a motion? I'll make that motion. Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second on the resolution to fix the tax rate for 2024. All those in favor say aye. Oh, yes, please, I'm sorry.
I just have one question for the manager.
Yes, please.
I'm sorry?
I said yes, please.
Oh, I have one question. Last year's millage was roughly 10%, correct?
Correct.
This year is increasing by 3 to 13%.
Right.
What does that increase entail? Why is that an increase?
There's an additional 2 mills that are being allocated to the Fire Protection Fund and 1 mill for the Debt Service Fund.
Okay, so the majority of this increase is basically for public safety, you can say.
Correct.
And the other is to make sure that this township pays down their debt.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
Any
that
other
debt,
comments?
most of that debt is going to be used for the lighting, public LED lighting for streetlights.
That's the intent. If the board approves that project, it will
And
acquire a loan.
also for crosswalk flashing.
The RRFB
beacons.
signal at Terra Drive and
So those
Newtown
are
Yardley.
additional safety uses
Yes.
for the,
Which are planned increases in the debt this year, not current debt being paid down.
right.
But if we decide not to do them, it might be used to pay down the debt. But we have the motion on the floor. Motion and a second. Any other discussion from the board? From the public? All those in favor of enacting the tax rate for 2024 as per this resolution, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion carries 4-1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Final item under our report is for board's consideration to adopt a resolution establishing exempt personnel pay for 2024 as outlined in the previously approved 2024 budget.
Do we have such a motion? We have a motion, we have a second. I'll second it. Any further discussion on this resolution, establishing the pay rates of exempt township employees? Any comment from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor of establishing the pay for exempt township employees as per this resolution, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all we have under our report.
Mr. Chair, can I ask just one brief question? One of my favorite, the plan expiration dates. The KRE Upper Macungie Associates LP, I know it's being continued. Do we have any further status on that, or?
No, that has been indefinitely continued by the applicant as they are in, as I understand it, negotiations with the sewer authority over the potential sale/purchase of that.
I can add to that information in my status as the vice chair of the sewer authority. We recently made an offer to purchase that land about 2 weeks ago, and the equitable and legal owners of the property are now considering the offer and may make a counter proposal. We're waiting to hear.
So is it safe to say that this situation is indefinite?
Absolutely indefinite, but it's, from my perspective, we're moving forward in all due speed.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Calabro. I can show you on my script that I had a note for Mr. Calabro. Any questions?
I appreciate that.
Yes. All right, Ms. Snyder, you have some bills, lists, and minutes for us to look at?
Absolutely. First, I'd like to ask if this meeting is being successfully broadcasted. Since we see the monitors aren't on, I see nobody up there. That's why I'm asking.
There we go.
Is this going out on YouTube?
It is not going out on YouTube tonight, but it is being recorded.
I think this is a very important meeting to be able to be broadcast, so I certainly hope that that can be done expeditiously.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from our December 21st, 2023 Board of Supervisors meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion from the board? Any from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
I'd like to make a motion to pay our bills in the amount of $631,955.01.
And 1 cent. There's a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second it. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion from the board?
Yeah, I mean, I've been following just some of these bills, in particular the zoning officer services for Barry Isset and Associates. And so far, including this bill of $37,550.40 on page 1, adding that to the previous bills comes to, in my calculation, over $371,000 we're paying to these people to do zoning services. I don't know, I think I got a number in 2022 of like $124,000. I'm not sure if that's completely correct. But $371,000, we can hire 3 zoning officers to do that work, couldn't we?
No, so they're doing zoning and building inspection.
Yeah, but $371,000?
Right, so they get paid with the building inspection on a percentage of the total cost of the permit. So we've had a lot of permits come through this year with Arcadia and some of the construction at Brixmore, so that's where this is.
If we had a zoning officer, full-time zoning officer, which we used to have in the past,
It was
what was
part-time.
that person's salary?
I believe it was $50 an hour.
Did that person also get these perks, part of the proceeds?
Perks?
Well, you mentioned that when you get an approval or whatever they're doing, they get a cut. They get some kind of extra fee.
Their fees are based off the fee of the permit.
Right.
They get paid by the percentage of the total cost of the permit for building inspection.
I see.
So that's paid by the applicant or the builder?
Correct.
Developer?
Yeah.
And it's a
It's a
pass-through
But wait,
from us.
we're paying this
Right,
$371,000.
comes out of the general fund.
Yeah.
But the developer pays a fee to the township.
Well,
So it's
sure.
a- so it's a
I mean,
pa- so
even
it's
if
a
there
pass-through.
was a salaried zoning officer, the developer would still pay a fee to the township, correct? Yeah.
Possibly. So a zoning officer is completely different than a building inspector. Zoning officer enforces the zoning ordinance, the building inspector enforces the building code.
So they're
So this-
performing two different functions.
This is for 2 services, yes, out of 1 firm.
Is it, I'd like to see a couple of their invoices, just to see what the heck's going on, how this is being paid. It's just.
Yep, we'll send it out
I
tomorrow.
didn't realize there were more developments this year than last year, so thanks for that information.
That's our prerogative to get those, so very good. So we had a motion and a second on the bills list. Any further discussion from the board? Any from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of paying our bills as listed on the bills list for December 6th, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion carries 4-1.
I'd like to make a motion to approve our total of interfund transfers in the amount of $1,544,034.06.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have discussion from the board? This is higher than usual. I believe there's some vehicles that are finally ready for.
This also includes the transfers that were in the 2023 budget to the Recreation Capital Fund and the Fire Protection Fund.
Okay. Okay, any other questions from the board? Any from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor of paying our interfund transfers as noted on the bills list for December 6th, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. That brings us to our second round of public comment. Do we have any additional comments this evening? Third time's the charm.
John DeAver. Thanks for the question about why the meeting wasn't televised. Did you explain why it wasn't not being televised?
We could,
Well,
And-
I think they owe us an explanation. I
Well,
was going to
if
bring
it-
that up under old
if it's
business.
due to the meeting being changed, there's something for your action items. Will next meeting be televised because it was changed? Yeah, that's just a question.
We will make every effort to make sure it is, and we'll ask that question up front.
Because, I mean, I agree, this was a meeting that should have been televised, because, you know, might have seen a few people come through the door.
Right. And it'll still be available on video.
Yeah, but still, it's
Right.
not live, and, you know,
Exactly.
you guys made an important decision, not live. But anyhow, as far as the speed limits in Newtown Grant, you know, I would like to refer to my mentors in the township, but most of them passed away or they moved out of Newtown Township. Newtown Grant's North-South Drive was developed for 45 miles an hour. Never expected to be a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit, but that's what it was developed for. And if you see the way it's built, you could do it, no problem. But the original speed limit was 30 miles an hour, and then it was lowered to 25 because of residents' complaint. There's a few houses that their driveways empty out to the drive, and they got their way. Us old guys, hey, when you do the renovations in this building, could you put a light over the podium for us old guys? You know. Yeah, John, Mr. Mack over there, you questioned the zoning manager's bills. Why don't you question the solicitor's bills compared to the previous solicitor before Kilkenny came in? Thank you.
I'm keeping a record of that, too, yeah.
Any other public comment? All right, do we have any old business?
Yeah, the audio-visual dilemma we have. It's been expressed here tonight. Is it my understanding that this has not even on cable TV live tonight? Is that true?
No, it's on TV.
It is on TV?
We'll get it up on YouTube tomorrow.
But it hasn't been on YouTube?
No, it's
that's
not
it.
working on YouTube.
I think you should get an explanation from them, who's ever up there, the wizard, of why this occurred and how soon are we going to be able to upgrade the system?
And so we want to know how it occurred so we don't have it occur again.
Yeah, I mean, we're paying for a service that we did not get tonight. So either they explain it or they give us a deduction of the fees they're charging us.
I just have to agree, because there's just no excuses anymore. I think everybody heard me.
Okay, yes. All right, any other old business? Any new business?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I just would like to throw out a suggestion. I mean, we heard everything tonight, various points of view on the plastic situation and about bags and so on. I think, again, if possible, the township maybe could issue and produce these usable bags for residents, and I'm not saying, you know, unlimited amount. Maybe we should go out and find if there's a company out there that would produce, I'll just throw out a number, 10,000 bags that we could give to the people for free, not at a cost. And in doing so, we could put the seal of Newtown Township on there, and just to show the people that we want to give them something in regards to maybe some sort of hardship that they may have. I do see a lot of people in the Acme, in McCaffrey's, wherever, using these bags already, but I don't think it would be harmful, since we are instituting an ordinance for plastics, that we give back to the township, the residents of this township, maybe our own bags that, and I know there will be a cost to it, but I think it would be a cost well spent, because we are showing the public that we want to give back so that they can comply with what we're asking. And I just wanted to throw that out. I'm not asking for a motion, asking for anything. I'm just throwing it out there for food for thought, so to speak. No pun intended, since their bags being used in the supermarket, but that's all I want to bring up.
Could we at least investigate what the cost would be?
Sure, no, I agree. And there's different things you could do with these bags. You could, maybe some inventive person out there can go and solicit businesses to advertise on these bags. People will be getting these bags with certain advertisements of the businesses, and when they're out there shopping, people will take the notice. Marketing is everything, and I think this is also something that we have to market in a positive way, so people look at it as something good that the township is doing. Whether we're 20,000, 21,000, 100,000, doesn't matter what the population is. It matters that we're giving back to the public. That's all I have to say.
I think that's a great idea.
And I would like to, number one, commend the EAC for their work over the past year or two, 3 or 4, in putting together the plastic ordinance and shepherding it through. I would just like to maybe suggest that I know they plan to continue the education piece and make sure we don't have to enforce it, or enforce it very little. So I would just like to ask them to continue their education piece. Maybe at some point do another report presentation. I don't know, it doesn't have to be real long, but just to keep us up to date and maybe offer something to the public to that effect as well. Great. Any other old, new business? All right, seeing none, no need for an executive session. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Schenkman. Without objection, meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.